Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update.
Money FM 89.3. It's Lynn Lee with you. And on Industry Insight, we are talking about AI today. AI is evolving at an incredible pace, and a new partnership between two tech companies could mark a major shift in how enterprises adopt and scale AI. Databricks and Palantir have recently announced a strategic partnership that integrates Palantir's AI operating system with Databricks' software infrastructure. Right? Industry observers say this is a game changer, a major industry move which can help businesses scale their AI roadmap more efficiently. Let's find out more about this game-changing partnership and its impact on the AI industry. I'm really pleased to have Nick Eayrs, Databricks' Vice President of Field Engineering in Asia Pacific and Japan. Welcome, Nick. Great to have you here in the studio with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me in person.
Now, it's been quite a while since we spoke, and I remember us talking about data warehouses and data lakes, which Databricks builds. That's your specialty. So in simple terms, Databricks allows businesses to store and process large data sets across various cloud architectures, such as Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud Platform, right? Now, Palantir is another AI powerhouse, which, correct me if I'm wrong, builds data technology to help large corporations visualize complex data sets. And just a couple of weeks ago, both companies announced the strategic partnership. For the benefit of our listeners, what makes this partnership so significant, and why now?
Yeah, great question. So maybe just to echo what you said, you're absolutely right. You know, from a Databricks perspective, we've really been focused on making data and AI accessible and democratizing access to data and AI capability for anyone that wants to leverage data and AI to differentiate their products, their services, their business model. For those of you who do not know Databricks, you know, we're originally founded in 2013, and some of the most prominent open source projects in the world were built by our founders. These open source projects, you know, today total roughly about 60 million plus downloads a month. It's crazy. It's an insane rate of adoption. But what we've done is we've taken that open core and we've built an incredibly powerful data and AI platform for our customers and the ecosystem to leverage to drive their data and AI ambitions. And this partnership with Palantir is super exciting because I think it brings together the best of both worlds. You're spot on. Palantir is exceptional with their artificial intelligence offering, which they call AIP, Artificial Intelligence Platform. And really what they've been doing a great job of is what they call building out these ontologies. So the best way to describe that is think about a world in which you could visualize your business end to end. You could see all the data in your business or your organization. You could see everything around the logic and the reasoning on top of that data, and you could take action. And really what Palantir has been doing a great job of is turning all of that, the data, the logic, the reasoning, the actions that you want to take on this end to end in any business or organization, and contextualizing that through fantastic apps and solutions that they've built out. Now, that's brilliant. What it needs, though, is a lot of data to power that, right?
That's right.
And that's where we step in. We have the ability to plug on to a myriad of data sources, any data sources, whether structured or unstructured, and make feeding that ontology with the best in-class data possible to drive insights and performance and impact to customers, citizens, and consumers by and large easy to do. So it's the best of both worlds coming together.
Okay, Nick. It's been called game-changing by many industry observers. So how is this synergy different from other AI and data collaborations in the market?
Yeah, I'll maybe talk about two other ones that we've just recently announced, because I think some of the listeners, if they know Databricks and the recent announcements, they might be wondering, well, how does this complement or how is this additive to what you announced through your SAP relationship and Anthropic relationship, which again are big players in the space. And I'll give you a perspective on that, which will shape and inform that. So again, if you think about the Palantir relationship really is around, you know, how do we bring the best apps and put the best apps on the best data and AI platform on the planet, which is Databricks. Then, you know, these other relationships and these emerging relationships with other players I'd describe as follows. If you take Anthropic has some of the best frontier models on the planet. So with Anthropic, Claude, a lot of your listeners will know Claude, it's the best large language model for coding. Well, what if you could bring that model, that hybrid reasoning model that's exceptionally good at codifying solutions, what if you could bring that on top of your data? And what if you could start to reason on top of your data using Claude in combination with these fantastic apps? And then you add into that the rich data that SAP has. When you think about what SAP represents as a data sort of, a gold mine, it's all the financial data, it's all the workforce data, it's all the data around the supply chain. Now you can bring in the SAP data, apply the best reasoning models onto those using Databricks and our data and AI capability, and then build these fantastic apps on top with something like Palantir.
Wow, looks like you guys are really, really busy at the moment.
Yes.
Nick, many businesses in Singapore and Southeast Asia are eager to leverage AI, but face challenges like fragmented data, regulatory hurdles, high implementation costs. How do you think this partnership with Palantir can address those pain points?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think, number one of the biggest challenges is obviously skills, right? Access to people that have the data and AI practitioner knowledge to build these things, implement these things in a robust, scalable, secure, ethical way, responsible way. Well, these sort of relationships abstract a lot of the complexity that you would have to solve with, a large organization of people that have the requisite experience. They make it just simpler and easier to get started, to build these solutions, build these apps that are AI-powered, and to do them in a way that's best practice, because Palantir brings their best practices into the mix, and they've built these apps and solutions for thousands of customers. And obviously, we've got 12,000 customers worldwide that we work with. So all of that knowledge and experience we can bring to bear to our customers to simplify what is a very, very hard to find, scarce to find resource around the people and the skills that you need. I think the other thing that's increasingly important when you think about data and AI is the governance side is complex, right? Really, really complex. And what you want is you want to ensure that when you are using data and AI to power apps and solutions and interactions with customers and citizens and consumers, you want to make sure it's done responsibly, it's done sustainably, and it's done ethically. And you want to make sure that you can stand behind the fact that it's been secured appropriately. The benefit, again, of working with, a partnership between the likes of Databricks and Palantir and SAP and Anthropic is the fact that we all take security very seriously. We're all focused on working with enterprise customers that have stringent security requirements, and we've put a lot of focus into that to make sure that governance and security is a first-class discipline in how we approach solving these problems. Let's
talk a little bit about that. How do you actually do that, make things secure? Do you think making it really explainable is a key factor, or perhaps it's just about being compliant with regulations?
Yeah, it's a combination, right? It's a combination. You need to be pretty thoughtful around this. I think, number one, these apps, these solutions, these models are only as good as the data that feeds them. So it all starts with data quality and making sure that you have great data of quality and that you are able to ensure that that data conforms with expectations, that it's meeting quality requirements, and that you can derive lineage around how that data was sourced, how it changes over time, and how it's leveraged to feed features and models and insights. So the first part is, you've got to govern the data first and foremost. You've then got to govern the models themselves, right? And the decisions that these models are making to provide responses to customers. You've got to govern that as well. And you've got to make sure that you're continuously evaluating that what these models are providing in the way of responses are not only accurate, but that they're ethical and they're responsible. So there's a number of techniques there. We always want the human to be in the loop, to be clear. This isn't about, we're getting rid of everyone's jobs here, but there are techniques in which the models themselves can be judges. We call this LLMs as a judge. So basically models judging model outputs. And it just makes the life of the humans in the loop easier to trust that these things are doing the right thing at the right time and giving the right responses. And then lots of testing and validation and verification. And you're right, regs and compliance is something you need to stay on top of. You need to shape and inform your business strategy and your data strategy in line with where the regs and compliance is moving. And that is fast changing. So you do need to stay on top of that as well.
Okay, coming back to the partnership with Palantir, it is shaking up the AI industry. So which companies or AI platforms do you think should be paying attention?
Yeah, I would say, again, I would say that Databricks, I think, is doing some very interesting partnerships with the likes of Palantir, Anthropic, SAP. And I think, yes, we're leading the way, I would argue, globally around what, data and AI can do. And we describe this as data intelligence. So we're kind of lighting a path to a world where these models are no longer just going to be leveraged for general intelligence. These models are going to be leveraged for data intelligence. So we're applying the models to your data, to your business context, to your taxonomy, such that it can drive business insights. And I think we're leading the way there. So yes, I think it's going to prove challenging for others to catch up. We're pretty confident we're lighting the path through these fantastic relationships. And I'd argue if you're not kind of heading in that direction, you probably need to be thinking about it because that's the future.
Okay, so everyone needs to be paying attention. Okay. In a way, this partnership isn't just about improving AI, like you mentioned.
Yep.
So it's about redefining how businesses operationalize AI at scale. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah. So just building on that point around general intelligence versus data intelligence, probably the best example, I've got 2 kids there, constantly leveraging ChatGPT or Perplexity for their homework. And it's great because it's trained on a general knowledge corpus derived from the internet, which is hugely powerful for solving general problems. But really what you want in the business world and in the enterprise world when you're solving, domain-specific problems is you want to apply that reasoning on top of your data about your customers, your products, your services, your policies and procedures. And that's really the really important part that is going to change the way that businesses operate today and in the future. Again, not displacing humans in the loop, but just making it so much easier to have real-time context, to have real-time insights that shape and inform the decisions you make every day. And also just streamlining what we call the flow of work when you're in the flow of work. And I love that concept because, being in the flow of work, really you want to be in the flow state. You don't want to be doing the work, right? The flow is where the creativity comes. So the more we can do to take the remedial tasks, the mundane tasks, the work, get that out of the way and allow people to be in a flow state where they can be super creative in solving problems that are impactful to the business, that's where we're heading. And I think data, AI, and these frontier models, the reasoning of those applied to domain-specific data is going to completely change business models going forward.
Wonderful. And for industries in Southeast Asia and Singapore, which sectors do you think will benefit most from this partnership?
Yeah, we're seeing it applicable in all sectors, to be clear, whether it's public, private sectors, whether it's financial services. But I'll give you some specific examples here in Singapore of customers that we're working with here. So GovTech, as an example, I think everyone knows GovTech. GovTech has radically simplified their data and AI state working with us. And it's been game-changing to them driving business insights. They've seen a 50% improvement in the time to insight by leveraging Databricks, which is just phenomenal. So you think about the time to value and how quickly they can get to insights. It's been very, very impactful. GetGo, another customer that I think a lot of folks will know here in Singapore, they've been leveraging us to underpin a lot of the data analysis that they do. Very interesting use cases. For example, they had a use case where they were identifying fuel theft using geospatial techniques using the platform. And then everybody knows Grab, right?
Of course.
Book my Grab to get here. So Grab underpins all of their customer-centric sort of personalization using Databricks to hyper-segment the customers and hyper-personalize the experience accordingly for everyone that's using the Grab app. So those are just some examples of how we're working with customers in industry to drive real business impact and real use cases.
Exciting stuff. And looking ahead, how do you see AI evolving in the next perhaps 12 to 24 months? And how does this partnership with Palantir shape that future?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think last year was the year that was all around these frontier models, right? And just the advancement that we saw in these frontier models, whether they were closed source or open source, like the convergence now is these frontier models are all getting very, very, very good. And I think last year everyone was like, hey, do I go and build these models? Do I just leverage what's out there? Do I leverage the open source one? Do I leverage closed source one? I think this year everyone, and beyond, to be clear, everyone's grappling now with that's not really the problem. Like, these models are so good. How are you going to apply them?
That's right.
So it's the application of these models, again, to domain-specific data and business problems that really is what everybody's trying to figure out. And we think, we're strongly opinionated on this, we think that going forward, the value is not going to be around trying to build those models yourselves. It's really going to be around how do you actually leverage the right model for the right task. And there's probably going to be multiple models that you will leverage, not one. And you've got to think more about how do you reimagine the business process for your customers or citizens. And if you reimagine that process, which model is right for which specific step in that customer journey, and leverage multiple models together. So that's what a lot of folks call agentic systems or agent systems or agentic workflows. So in that model, you really are less concerned about, hey, I need to use this one model. You need to be more concerned around how do I abstract the complexity of building an agent system? How do I make that super simple that I can leverage any model, the best model at that point in time for that discrete business task? And how do I abstract all the complexity of doing that whilst guaranteeing that it's governed, secure, and explainable? And that's really the secret sauce behind Databricks. That's what we're solving.
Nick, we are indeed living in exciting times. This has been a fascinating conversation. Any final advice for companies looking to scale AI in Singapore and Southeast Asia?
Yeah, reach out would be my ask. Reach out to ourselves, get engaged. We'd love to hear from you. We're super excited about working with customers, prospects, the ecosystem, our partners, about bringing these game-changing data and AI capabilities to life in real business-impacting use cases. So reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to get involved and figure out how we can support your data and AI ambitions.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us, and really appreciate your insights into the AI and data space today.
No problem. Thank you.
Here's Nick Eayrs, Vice President of Field Engineering, Asia Pacific and Japan at Databricks. I'm Lynn Lee, and you've been listening to Industry Insight on Money FM 89.3.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.